Earlier this week, we had the news in the UK that Vanguard is closing its UK financial advice arm after less than 2 years of it being open. So let's just go back to when Vanguard first announced this new service. So here we are, April 19th, 2021. This is from Vanguard itself. This was their announcement of this service, introducing Vanguard Personal Financial Planning. Find out how our new financial advice service, managed by our team of experts, provides you with personalized long-term investment support that could potentially help you retire with more money. Okay, this sounds good. Imagine a service that provides you with a tailored financial plan, one designed and managed by qualified experts, and then it's regularly reviewed. So it adapts to your circumstances and helps you stay on track to provide you with a bigger pot on retirement. Okay, so it looks like it was a financial service aimed towards people that were either in retirement or looking to retire very, very soon. It mentions retiring a lot here. Imagine the convenience and the load it would take off your mind so that you could just get on with living your life. Now imagine a personalized financial planning service like this costing you just 0.79% a year. Okay, so they wanted to offer this service to the masses in the UK to compete with other providers that was a lot cheaper. This sounds typical of Vanguard. Vanguard are known for being quite cheap. They are with their investments, and they wanted to do the same thing with their financial planning service. So is 0.9% per year cheap? Well, let's just have a look. The Financial Conduct Authority says advisors charge an average of 2.4% of the amount invested for the initial advice. Okay, so Vanguard is already cheaper, and 0.8% a year for ongoing advice. Going back to Vanguard, they were charging 0.79% a year, and you get the initial advice and you get regularly reviewed advice as well. It says regularly reviewed. So, okay, hats off to them. That sounds good. They are providing a service for cheap. I like it. Let's carry on. And then it just goes on to break down how that cost is actually made up. So what I like here is that there's zero exit or entry fees. So a customer is able to access this service and leave at any time without having an additional charge. So this sounds really, really good. They're essentially filling a need here. They saw that there was a lack of affordable financial planning services in the UK. So they wanted to fill that hole. They then go on to say some key features that they were going to offer. Again, they talk about retirement here. They talk about a personalized plan, constant rebalancing and monitoring. Sounds really good. From the comfort of your own home. This sounds great, you know? This sounds really, really good. I really, really like that they were trying to offer financial planning and advice to people that need it for a lower cost. And that's probably a real barrier for some people that actually want and need this service. They just can't afford it. So respect them for doing that, but let's keep going. They then go on to break down what they're actually charging for, whereas other providers are charging other things. So they're not going to charge for any transaction fees, any exit charges, the initial consultation they're not charging for. You can see here. So it does sound really, really good. And then they go on to talk about how these fees that are charged by other providers can really, really add up, especially in retirement. And they talk about killing your retirement planning again. So they found that fewer than 1 in 10 UK adults are actually able to take professional financial advice, but they could benefit from it, especially those saving for retirement. So again, they're trying to fill this advice gap with low cost, high quality, convenient digital service. This is where it gets slightly less great. So it was only actually available to customers with 50,000 or more in their Vanguard account. So essentially they're targeting people that need financial advice for a low cost. So people that can't afford the expensive advice, but they have to have a certain amount of money in their account, which probably the people that they're actually trying to target just didn't have, so couldn't actually access this service. So that seems a little bit redundant. They want to fill a hole, but they're putting barriers in place. However, I'm sure that there'll be business requirements there as to why they did that. Clients with more than 100,000 invested will also get telephone or video-based support. And then clients with a lot of money in their account get a dedicated financial planner. So there's some tiers here, but to be able to access any of it, £50,000 in your account. Okay, so that was April 2021. Now let's flick to the other day, 1st of March. This service has now been closed. Vanguard is closing its UK financial planning arm less than 2 years after it launched in April 2021, after a disappointing number of customers signed up to this new low-cost retirement advice service, which was designed to appeal to millions of savers. They had an idea, clearly didn't work, had to close. But let's find out exactly what happened. They basically wanted to compete with other UK pension advice services. And like we just found out, that there was a minimum of 50,000 in their portfolio and they would be charged 0.9%. That's quite a low cost if you look at the average, what people are charged, but there's still this barrier of entry in place. The world's second largest asset manager, BlackRock being the first, faces the embarrassment of refunding all financial planning fees that clients have paid for the service since they joined. Okay, respect for that. They have decided to refund everyone that actually signed up to this. So that's really good for the customer. The company has refused to disclose how much money will be repaid or how many of the 485,000 customers that signed up will be affected by the withdrawal, but it will close on the 31st of May. Okay. Investors who still want pension advice will have to now transfer their business to another provider or will have the option of managing their own funds on Vanguard's normal platform. So the people that wanted the advice now have the choice of either going elsewhere, which they probably didn't want because they probably picked Vanguard for many reasons, or they have to now manage their own funds, which they clearly didn't want because they signed up to this financial planning service. So that's quite a tricky decision for them. However, what I would say is Vanguard's doing what it can. It's refunded everyone. It's given them clear options. It's given them a cut-off date. It's been very clear and transparent in the communication. So, you know, everyone makes mistakes. Maybe they took on more than they could chew and they've realized that this actually wasn't working, which is fine. They bit off more than they could chew if that's the case. Vanguard didn't achieve the traction which it had hoped for. The 50,000 investment minimum was quite a big steep. Yeah, I think so as well. I think the people that were wanting this service at a low cost, which is kind of how Vanguard branded it, like low cost financial planning services, then probably didn't have that 50,000, so they weren't able to access it. So they probably got the wrong people there. And also I think that here you go. A lot of the customers, a third of the customers, were actually under the age of 30. This was very, very targeted towards financial planning. In their initial announcement of this, the word retire and retirement was just plastered everywhere. We saw that. But for some reason, they were getting younger people signing up. So people that weren't thinking about retirement or weren't nearing the retirement age. So what that meant is they had this service that was aimed towards a certain demographic of people, yet this wasn't the demographic that were actually using the service. So that must have been quite difficult. I'm sure they had these conversations, but just thinking out loud, how could they have maybe made sure this didn't happen? Well, perhaps they could have put some entry requirements in place. So, you know, you had to be a certain age to join this service or a certain amount of time away from retirement. Or, you know, maybe they should have just said, please note that this is retirement planning, not anything else. Maybe then they wouldn't have got these young investors signing up. No date has been set for when the new financial planning service might become available. I'm not sure that they're going to jump on this anytime soon after this sort of failure. Maybe they'll spend some more time actually thinking about what is going to be business smart, because clearly, you know, they were probably putting so much effort into this because they were regularly reviewing funds. 485,000 customers signed up. And these were people that were expecting advice and for advice to come in regularly, their portfolio to be regularly reviewed. That's a lot of work and that's a lot of, you know, time that these employees had to put in. They probably weren't seeing that time that they were putting in actually being valuable and actually giving the reward that they had hoped financially. So I think what Vanguard initially set out to do was really positive. They saw a hole in the market. They saw that people weren't being able to access low-cost financial advice and they wanted to fill that hole. Hats off to them. That makes complete sense. However, I think there was a little bit of a miscommunication between what they were planning to offer in terms of retirement planning services and what the customers were actually thinking that they would get when they signed up for it. In their announcement article, it clearly said retirement everywhere, so maybe the customer should have looked into that a little bit more, I don't know. Maybe they needed to not put that amount in place that people had to have in their account in order to access this, but like I said, they're a business. There's going to be requirements on their end that they needed to meet as well to actually make this profitable, and maybe that was one of them. I like the fact that they're refunding everyone. That's really good customer service. They've given people clear options like I was saying, so hopefully anyone affected by this service will be okay moving forward. This was just a bit of a quick video because I'm reacting to some news, so let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again in another video.